regarding the court's denial of defendant's motion to set aside plea based on the claim of ineffective assistance of counsel. Actually, it's not really a reconsideration. I mean, you did mention that in your motion to withdraw the plea, that you felt like there was error by previous counsel, but you really didn't file a motion to ask for to ask the court to find that there was ineffective assistance of counsel. You only filed a motion to withdraw the plea.
Number four, fourth paragraph of my motion, the defendant files this motion for reconsideration based upon the issue of ineffective assistance of counsel.
Well, I mean, you said it in here, but it wasn't a motion. So I'm just trying to clarify for the record. You never really asked me to find that there was ineffective assistance of counsel before. When you first filed your motion to withdraw the plea, it was based on the fact that the sentencing hadn't occurred as of yet, and the defendant should be permitted to allow them. You can correct me. No. But I thought your initial motion that you filed was to withdraw the plea based on the fact that there had not been sentencing and the plea was not going to, the withdrawal of the plea was not going to prejudice the prosecutor, and defendant is entitled to it under the court rule, at least in the court's discretion. Fair enough?
And in the interest of justice.
Right. And I denied that, but you didn't really, and you did indicate in that motion that you felt, or at least on the record, I remember that you said something to the effect that he wasn't advised by counsel of the fact that the intoxilizer would not provide a accurate result if somebody is diabetic. You did say that on the record, but you really didn't ask me to find that there was ineffective assistance of counsel until this motion was filed. You agree with that, right?
By looking at the first motion, that is correct.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is, you're now asking me to adjourn so you can subpoena the attorney, and
The attorney, Judge, we had a bad conference, and the attorney was confirmed with my client. And last night,
what do you mean the attorney was confirmed with your client?
the Ed Zelenak was to show today. I was hoping it was at 1:00. He sent him and said, I can't make it. I have a trial downtown Detroit in juvenile court in the afternoon. And my client asked, name of the judge, and.
Well, had your client talked to him since the last hearing and Mr. Zelnick agreed to appear? Is that what you're telling me?
Did you talk to him since the last hearing, and he's going to show up?
Or did he just call him yesterday for the first time and asked that he appear? At which point Mr. Zelnick told him that he was not available.
So he texted yesterday, that's how they communicate.
Had you talked to him before yesterday since the last hearing?
I have not, yesterday I spoke with him.
Yeah, but you didn't contact him after the last hearing until yesterday. Is that true or false?
Also, next I know you have to appear, I immediately.
Wait a minute.
Oh, he said he immediately contacted him when he knew he had to appear.
Wait a minute. Mr. Pest, I want you to listen to my question. After the last hearing, did you call or text Mr. Zelnick in reference to the fact that you needed him to appear as a witness at any point before yesterday? Yes or no?
I did not know, so no.
Okay, so there was no contact with either one of you with Mr. Zelnick until yesterday, at which point Mr. Zelnick told you he could not appear. Is that true or false?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And my client confirmed, as you put it on the record at the last hearing, that he was contacting Ed Zelenak. They're sort of close, that he'll be here at the hearing. So
I don't remember him saying that.
No, he never said that. You, Your Honor, said that there's gonna be, we talked, and I said, Mr. Zelenak, ineffective assistance of counsel, all that. Then you gave us today's date at 1:00.
No, I realize that, but I'm just saying, I didn't tell, the only thing I told either one of you is I wanted the officer to appear, because the defense here is that, as I just outlined, that the defendant is apparently saying he was diabetic, breathalyzer couldn't have been, or intoxilizer could not have been accurate because of that. And there's ineffective assistance of counsel because the defense lawyer didn't pursue that angle. But here now, I told the officer I wanted to be here because when I read the police report, or I told Mr. Bologna to bring in the officer, because when I read the police report, it clearly stated that the defendant was asked by the arresting officer as to whether or not he was diabetic, and he said no, which to me would mean, if I'm the defense lawyer and I read that, I'm not even talking to my client about a diabetic condition because the police, but so now we've got the officer here, you got a tape here, and you said initially here, just now at the bench conference, that you're prepared to stipulate to the admission of the video and that you're prepared to stipulate that it was clear that the arresting officer, and sir, I'd like you to identify yourself, please.
Officer J. Fields.
Asked or inquired of Mr. Pastor if he was diabetic, and it was clear that Mr. Pastor indicated in response thereto that no, he is not a diabetic. Is that true?
That's correct.
So you're stipulating to that,
I'm stipulating exact, yes,
and you're stipulating to the admission of the video.
that's correct.
All right, then let's proceed with the hearing. I'll receive that as Peoples 1. And with that admission, unless you want to call the officer or you want to ask the officer any questions, I'll be happy to let you do that, Mr. Clovis, too. But I'm going to go ahead and admit Peoples number 1, which is the video, with that further provision that the defendant stipulates that that the officer inquired of him as to whether or not he was diabetic, and he clearly stated that he was not at the scene. Okay, fair enough?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, for the record.
Yes.
I have a flash drive that I'll put into evidence, which has the videos on it. Mr. Phillips watched this. And on the video, Officer Fields, it's at approximately 6 minutes, 20 seconds on that video for the admissions video.
Okay,
And I'm stipulating to it.
but I'll receive that into evidence anyway.
Thanks, Your Honor.
Okay, now, so you can call your first witness and we will go from there.
Okay, Your Honor, I got one more.
If you want to go ahead and give an opening statement, I don't have a problem. If you want to do that, Mr. Bologna, that's fine too. You can both give one or waive your right to give one.
Your Honor, I'm gonna have a tough time pronouncing this name.
Okay,
So I think it's best that I spell it.
okay,
It's Doctor, and then it's K-H-A-L. Is it A-L or A-T? It's T-I-P. Excuse me, K-H-A-T-I-B-S-H. So you were A-H-I-D-I.
so it's KHATIBSHAHID.
I-D-I.
IDI. I'm sorry. Dr. Katashidi? Is it Dr. Katashidi? Katip Shahidi. Thank you. Katip.
The first name.
Doctor, can you please come up here and be sworn?
Can you ask her first name?
Ma'am, and when you come up here, I'm going to ask you to pronounce it and state your first name for me. Will you do that, please? No, right up to the witness chair here. Good afternoon. Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalties of perjury that the testimony you'll give in these proceedings will be the whole truth? So help you God. All right, have a seat. What is your first name?
Batul Bita,
I'm sorry.
Batul Bita,
Can you spell that?
B-A-T-U-L dash B as in boy, I-T-A.
Batul Bita. And then the last name, pronounce again for me, is Katip Shahidi.
Katib Shahid.
Okay, thank you very much. You can proceed.
Okay, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. Doctor, first, thank you for coming here today. How do you know, my client?
I'm a physician.
Collaborating physician?
collaborating physician.
What does that mean?
I've been with him, in the sidelines with monitoring his blood glucose levels because of his family history as well as his own. With diabetes, coronary artery disease, bilateral carotid artery plaque, which is significant for diabetics.
What is your specialty? What type of,
Family medicine.
okay, so you're a family doctor and you're monitoring his blood glucose levels as well as what?
His blood pressure, heart rate,
Anything else?
his basic labs, regular labs, cholesterol levels, carotid arteries, heart. I've seen him stress test.
How long have you been seeing him? How long has he been a patient of yours?
Well, he's been a patient of Dr. Kaza, family medicine physician, and I was collaboration with
How
her
many times have you seen Mr. Pastor?
more than a few, more throughout the years.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, what is the difference between pre-diabetes and diabetes?
Well, pre-diabetes is a diagnosis with the A1C at 5.7 to 6.4, and diabetes is 6.4 and up. In the case of diabetics, to consider diabetic, anyone with an A1C above 5.7 with a history of high blood pressure is considered diabetic, even though the range is 5.7 on lab. And we have in the study of high blood pressure history and heart disease and family history, we consider diabetes treated as such to prevent it from getting worse.
Okay, thank
And he
you.
has hypoglycemia as well.
I'm just gonna put this out for
Sure.
a moment. When I get blood testing done, it's like sometimes 8, 9, and he says it should be 7, or closer to 7. What does that mean?
Depending on age and risk factors, below 7 is safe in some people. However, the actual is 6.4 is considered diabetes. 5.7 is considered diabetes when you have history of high blood pressure, family history, and risk factors.
So 5.7 is, I thought you said it was pre-diabetic.
But on
5.7 to 6.4 is pre-diabetic.
correct, sir. However, when you have a history of high blood pressure, family history, anyone with A1C 5.7 and up is considered diabetic to be treated as such, not meaning insulin, meaning you do the risk factor modification to prevent it from getting worse. Eye doctors, all the eye doctors consider diabetes 5.7 and up. Doesn't matter whether it's pre-diabetes, they call it diabetic.
You have your medical records with you
Remember where it's on.
of Mr. Pastor? Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. So. For instance, let's say I'm 8 or 7, and they call me pre-diabetic, would that be correct?
No,
Okay. Thank you. What is, you already talked about pre-diabetic. Just pre-diabetic. Do you know about acetones?
absolutely.
And please explain what acetone is.
Acetones are what can build up in your blood with significant stress on muscles or with fasting and build up because your body goes into a state of ketosis, becoming acidotic to compensate for the blood glucose levels that are higher or low, depending on the exertion level and whether you are fasting or not.
If someone is diabetic or pre-diabetic, would the acetones be higher?
Yes,
Is it a form of ethanol?
is not a form of ethanol. It's acetone
Okay.
is a type of, I guess, acid in the body, same as ethanol, but it's different.
Can that be emitted out of your mouth when you talk or blow?
Yes,
Will it, if somebody's pre-diabetic or diabetic, They usually on medication of some sort.
Yes,
What type of medication was, my client on?
metformin.
And what is that?
Metformin is for diabetes, 1,000 milligrams once or twice a day.
Okay, did he take any shots?
No,
Okay. And you said he takes, prescribed once or twice a day?
metformin, yes, and that is known to cause metabolic acidosis in people who are fasting, which is why we do not give it when you're admitted in hospital, because you're already not eating as much. You're already in fasting mode. So anyone who is on metformin at home is not on metformin when you're in the hospital because you become acidotic. It makes ketones in your urine, in your breath. That's why his CO2 was high in his blood levels too, which is reported in his labs, as well as can be detected as a acetone in the breath. That's how you can tell.
If you're gonna measure by an instrument, measure somebody's blood alcohol content. And somebody blows into it. The tube or whatever, blows into it. Would it be accurate if somebody has these acetones as a pre-diabetic?
No,
Why wouldn't it be?
because you're already acidotic and on metformin and being
I mean,
fasting.
she's not a toxicologist, right?
You're not,
She's not a toxicologist.
but you could testify to, acetones. Do you do that in practice?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
And
I just want you to know, I'm not gonna consider that testimony. She's not a qualified toxicologist.
I'm,
So I'm gonna strike that.
all right. But you did state earlier, if I heard you right, that these higher acetones will come out of a person's mouth that is a pre-diabetic or diabetic.
yes,
And if somebody was measuring that, would it be, how high are they than normal? Is there a way
quantitatively, I
Yeah.
have to see on the, what your measurement level is, if it's nanogram per deciliter or milligram per liter, depending on how you measure it in the blood versus breath. So
no matter what, they would be higher?
You cannot, that is not appropriate. She is not qualified to testify to that.
Was she-
If you're, no, you're gonna have to get a toxicologist. You should have brought a toxicologist in here then.
All right.
Ma'am, let me ask you a question. When did you have all your records relating to Mr. Pastor?
Yeah.
When is the first time you saw him? And take your time reviewing those records.
2020, 2019,
Okay? And you talked about these levels as to diabetic, pre-diabetic. Tell me what his levels were in you said 2020, correct?
correct.
What were his levels at that juncture?
Fasting glucose levels were 120 and up, which is considered diabetic. A1C, I don't have the 2020 records of A1C, but their fasting glucose above 120 is considered diabetes when you're fasting.
Did you write I presume you wrote your diagnosis in your records,
Correct. I have the diagnosis in the records.
but any physician, correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
They typically go through histories,
Yes,
conduct tests, and then they come up with a diagnosis, correct?
correct.
Show me the first time that you diagnosed him in your records with being diabetic. I don't see any reason to not have those marked, right?
Just so it's not a public record, thing, medical records.
Mr. Bologna?
It's a public record, if it's put into evidence, you can just look at redacting sensitive information for their at home part of the record. But no, I think that should be, if this is the record they want to make it on.
I think they have to be, so
Well, I regard a part of the record, I just think there's anything sensitive. Well, I haven't seen these.
well, I think we should have a mark, defense one, You agreed, Mr. Clovis?
Yes, Your Honor.
So let's have them marked and received as defense one, and I'll be happy to give you an opportunity if you'd like to go back and to
These are- this is what-
redact whatever you'd like. In other words, you can't redact it without,
I'm sorry.
That's a good cross.
Okay. Well, can we just, there's 3 items here. Can we just call it all defense, number 1?
yeah, as long as all, it's copies of all of her records
These are all the.
that she has maintained with regard to Mr. Pastor.
Which ones were you asking?
I think we should-
The first time?
I think we should have all of her records as it relates to Mr. Pastor marked as defense one. If you want to take a minute and go through and redact those, or the doctor needs us to make copies, we can make copies, and then we can go from there.
Can we go over them together so I can see which one is appropriate?
I mean, I don't want, this is all about whether or not he's diabetic.
Correct.
I'm not looking to have his whole medical history divulged.
Right.
So if it relates, but I think I still need a clean copy. You need your original copy. And then there should probably be a redacted copy that's marked as defense one.
I would also ask the prosecutor, based upon this evidence, did you stipulate that he's a pre-diabetic?
No.
Why not?
Wait a minute now, it's not your turn to ask questions. Come on. Well, don't be confused. You let the lawyers do the work and I'll do the work. I wouldn't tell you how to be a physician, right? I wouldn't. So don't start questioning why the prosecutor isn't stipulating or why Mr. Clovis isn't stipulating or why anybody's asking you any questions here today. I'll be happy to take the original records, make copies, 2 of them. One that will be returned to you, the original, plus one that we will have in a redacted form if it's going to suppress information that is not involved. And then, in other words,
Understand, Judge.
and then another copy that's at least a clean copy.
Yeah, these are,
Did you find an area where you said in a diagnosis that he was diabetic, doctor?
Blood work.
I didn't know. Come on. I asked you. I've been going to doctors too. I want a straight answer here. Did you ever write in any of those records, diagnosis, the subject is diabetic? Then I want to see it. Where are they?
are they here? Are they there? Just pull them out.
No, it's not in here, not diagnosed, that was blood works.
Here is the diagnosis that you can send me.
Why would you not bring all of your records?
I didn't know why you wanted to bring it, so I'm sorry.
Go get them.
Do you have,
Go get them. This hearing is going on today. And really, go get them. Have them send them to you. They can email them to us. They can fax them to us. I don't need anybody to see anything. But I want to see all your records. Where's your office?
Newport.
Have them send them over. Have them send them over right now. We're taking a recess on these. Would you go get Mr. Holmberg and Mr. Cayley on this other case, please? We'll take a recess. Stay seated. You're good, officer. The testimony you will give in these proceedings will be the whole true self you got.
so what we got?
Okay, have a seat. You may proceed, Mr.
Sir, are you, have you been diagnosed with any medical conditions?
Yes, I have.
And what medical conditions do you suffer from today?
I have pre-diabetes still, and also I have diabetes.
And how long have you had, or at least been told, that you had pre-diabetes from a doctor?
The whole episodes has started right after COVID.
Can you give me a year?
It started late 1920s, and then it got really bad till 24.
It got bad in 24?
It got bad.
Okay.
it got really bad. It's really started after I got the polio shot because.
Well, that's okay. Just answer his question. It started in 19 or 20 and it got bad in 24.
Yeah, late 20.
Okay.
I would say that, around 1920, yeah.
Is it regulated? Are you given any medicine for the pre-diabetes or diabetes?
So, yes, so I have been prescribed due to all the different medical conditions. I was prescribed.
Just for diabetes. Let's just talk about your diet. Let's just talk about your diet. Just answer his questions.
Yes,
Have you been prescribed any medication for pre-diabetic condition?
And please speak up.
yes, I have. So I have been prescribed metformin since late 2019, and I've been on 1,000 milligrams of metformin daily ever since then.
Did you say 1,000 milligrams?
Yes, sir. And I have my prescription records with me of that from my pharmacy.
And, okay, and, did you suffer from diabetes? I'm sorry.
Did you say you were diagnosed as a diabetic or pre-diabetes?
Well, it is a pre-diabetes, but ideally it is, some people consider diabetes, some people consider.
Who told you that you were a pre-diabetic? Who told you?
Couple of doctors.
What doctors?
Pre-diabetic.
What doctors?
One of them was Dr. Counsel,
How do you spell it?
Kasza.
Okay, and where's he out of?
She is
Or-
out of Riverview.
And when did she tell you were diabetic?
My other primary was Dr. Janeski,
How do you spell Janeski?
Janski.
And where's Dr. Janeski out of?
Out of Riverview as well.
When did Dr. Counsel tell you that you were pre-diabetic?
Officially, it was in 22 when I received my blood work back from
Listen, just answer my question. I don't need to hear that.
I don't exactly.
Just tell me when Dr. Counsel told you were pre-diabetic. Your answer was 22, correct? All right, when did Dr. Jansky tell you were pre-diabetic?
Prior to it, because I was already.
Prior to 22?
Yes, because I already had elevated levels of glucose at that time.
I don't need to hear that. I just want you to answer my question.
So, yeah, right about the time.
Prior to 22,
Yes.
like how much prior to 22?
About a year, I think, just because I've already started to taking metformin about a year prior to that.
So 2021 is about when you started taking the metformin,
Yeah.
and that's when Dr. Jansky told you were pre-diabetic.
Yes.
And then Dr. Kaza told you were pre-diabetic in 22.
22.
Go ahead.
Who prescribed the medicine for you?
So the medicine was being prescribed,
Tell me who prescribed the medicine.
Dr. Tamadi,
Okay.
How do you spell that?
ETEMADI.
ETEMEDI?
MADI.
Where's he out of?
She's out of Riverview.
Review. Were all three of these doctors together?
No, different practices.
I
They collaborate.
I presume on September 1st, 2025, that you were either pre-diabetic or diabetic, am I correct?
Yes, I was two diagnoses.
Wait a minute. I didn't hear your answer.
I said yes.
Okay.
So you were pre-diabetic in September of 25.
I said,
Okay, go ahead.
still on medicine as of today.
Are you still taking medicine for diabetes?
Every night.
And it's 1,000 milligrams still?
Yes, sir.
And is that to balance out your sugar?
Yes, sir. And also control hypoglycemia as well.
Okay, I want you to stick with what the judge says.
Yes,
When I ask you a question, just answer it, no narrative. An example is what time is it? I'll tell you how it talks to me. Just tell me the time, okay?
okay,
That's how the judge wants it.
okay.
Now, did there come a time when you retained Mr. Edward Zelenak?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and did you retain him to represent you concerning this case that we're talking about today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and, did he ever tell you that, diabetes, pre-diabetes, will cause acetones and a breathalyzer reading, is not accurate? Did he ever tell you that?
He has,
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
he has not.
Hang on. She's objecting.
So,
Any response?
I mean, I gotta have zone in here. My client's is testifying of the ineffective assistance of counsel.
Any further response, Mr. Bologna?
he's asking for what a third party stated out of court.
You know, I'll rephrase it, Judge.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll withdraw that rephrase it. How many times did you meet with Mr. Zelenak during the representation of this case?
Many times.
How many?
Many.
When? And was it ever mentioned by you that you were a pre-diabetic or a diabetic?
He has mentioned, I'm
Listen, did you, hang on.
You're
Did you hear his question? First of all, I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Repeat your question and keep your voice up and just answer the question. Go ahead.
Thank you. Listen to the question, and it's a yes or a no. Okay. And did Mr. Zelenak, while his representation with you, meeting with you on this several times, did he ever ask you if you were a diabetic or a pre-diabetic?
He has not.
Did you tell him that you were a diabetic?
I told him I was a pre-diabetic, yes.
Okay. And when the officer asked you if you were a diabetic, you said no. Why did you say no?
Because I'm a pre-diabetic.
That you're not a diabetic?
Correct. So I didn't want to put inaccurate information. That's why I didn't put that, because a pre-diabetic is not diabetic. So I didn't really know the difference. Now I learned the difference now after all these times, but I did not know the difference whatsoever.
Respect with the answers, okay. And do you understand now through your treatment, that diabetic is an elevated amount of glucose?
Yes,
And pre-diabetic is still elevated, but not as high. Is that correct? Yes or no?
yes.
That's all I have, Judge.
Any questions, Mr. Bologna?
Yes, thank you. Mister, how are you?
Good.
Good. I'm good.
Good.
What do you do for a living?
I don't in the office.
Hey, you got to keep your voice up, please.
Medical office.
Okay, which medical office do you work?
Work at special care, OBGYN.
You said special care?
Yes, sir.
Where's that located?
To Riverview, Michigan.
What do you do at special care OBGYN?
Help with management.
You help with management?
Yes, business management.
What does that mean exactly?
It means business management.
Okay,
Accounts payable, receivable, payable.
Wait a minute. Wait, listen. I don't have to keep telling you to keep your voice up.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, work on business management, any and all aspects of business management.
for special care OBGYN,
Correct.
and it's located in Riverview. Do they have other locations?
No, sir.
Are you an owner of that facility?
No, sir.
And you mentioned a Dr. Kaza,
Yes, sir.
and is that your treating physician?
One of my treating physicians, correct.
Okay, and is that a woman?
Yes, sir.
And what type of doctor are they?
Family or internal medicine.
And where is
You don't know that family members.
where's their office?
They're in Riverview,
Where in Riverview?
on Pennsylvania Road.
Do they work at Special Care OBGYN?
They do not,
What about Dr. Gansky?
Dr. Gansky,
Jansky.
Jansky? The Jansky?
Janeski,
Janeski. Thank you.
yes. Who works in Riverview, not a special care.
And what type of doctor is Dr. Janeski?
Internal medicine,
Does he work, does she, it's a female as well, correct?
correct,
Does she work with Dr. Kaza?
correct,
They're at the same office.
correct,
You see both doctors?
sometimes, whatever who's available,
And then there's a Dr. Adamati.
correct,
Hey, where's Dr. Adamati?
works in special care.
Okay, that's the facility where you're the business manager?
Yes, sir.
Are you related in any way to any of those doctors?
Dr. Tamara, yeah, she's my wife.
Okay.
Is there any other doctors in the same office with her, sir?
With,
Dr. Adamati, your
oh,
wife?
yeah, we have other doctors as well, too, yes. We have, Dr. Lutzig, we have Dr. Murphy, we have. There's no other physicians there, those are legal providers.
Okay, so Dr. Lutzik and Dr. Murphy. Okay, that's her.
And you testified you take a medicine called metformin.
Yes.
Thank you. Who prescribed that?
Dr. Tanani,
So your wife prescribed you that script?
that is correct,
And do you know the date of when your wife first wrote you that script?
I do.
What is that date?
I have it on my Rex history from Meyer Pharmacy. I can look it up for you. Right around 2020, 2020.
Is
Right
your,
around that time.
is your wife your primary doctor?
Well, I live with the doctor, so yeah, she's my absolute primary. She oversees me.
But she's an OB-GYN, right?
Well, she's a OBGYN, she's a surgeon, and she's a fully board licensed medical physician as well. She's just a subspecialist as an obstetrician and gynecologist. So she's fully qualified to treat anyone for that matter. And trust me, she does.
Okay,
Okay, that's, question is though, is that your
Of course.
primary care physician?
Well, yeah, that too, but I do have my own primary care as well too, which is Dr. James and Dr. Kazan.
Okay, does Dr. Jansky write you any scripts?
Yeah, sometimes yes.
What scripts does Dr. Jansky write you?
She manages also my weight control, mostly weight control.
Weight control?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, because of the diabetes and I have too much, yes. And then if I have any cold or whatever, flu.
Cold.
Usually, so yeah, if Dr. Kaz is available, we'll see her. If neither available, I have my Dr. Tamari will help.
Okay. And there was a doctor that testified earlier today.
Yeah,
I'm going to butcher her name. What is her name again?
Dr. Kuchini,
And do you see that doctor ever?
only a handful of times seen her as a doctor, since she's just collaborating. Mostly I see Dr. Kaza and Dr. Janeski and constantly Dr. Tamari. But it's plenty of doctors to see, I guess.
how many times have you seen, I know, Dr. Katipsha Hidi?
Times.
When did you first see Dr. Kashif Hidi?
Around 20, I guess.
What did you go to her for as opposed, let me just ask that. Why did you go to her instead of Dr. Jansky or Janeski
It was.
and Dr. Kaza?
Yeah, it was during COVID time. That was just, not everybody was available.
Okay, so you went to her in the first time in 2020 or 19?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead.
Along those lines, Dr. Batul, he testified that 2019, 2020 is when he first saw her as a doctor.
Yeah, something like that.
Is that accurate?
That's so, yeah.
To your recollection, that's accurate.
Honestly, so.
And is that doctor related to you in any way?
Her?
Yes.
Yeah, she's I'm not one of my stepdaughters.
Stepdaughter?
Correct.
Okay, so that would be your wife, Adamati's daughter?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. So because she's a family medicine practitioner, her expertise in family medicine as well too. So she sometimes just becomes as a collaborating physician when my primaries are unavailable, or if I would have questions, but Dr. Tamari wouldn't be 100% necessarily able to answer. So for your understanding, many times physicians that could collaborate on cases. And, in this case, I'm just one of the fortunate ones who has more than multiple physicians who can actually help me.
Can you wait 1 second?
Yes, sir.
So in 2019, approximately, your stepdaughter was collaborating with Dr. Counsel.
Right. We were,
Is that right or not?
of course.
That's then
Yeah.
just, you said yes, and let him ask the next question.
Yes, sir. We did all the COVID testing together for all the cities.
I don't need to hear that.
I knew them.
You're just supposed to answer the question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Bologna.
I have nothing further. Thank
Did
you.
you tell the police that you were not diabetic?
I did not know the difference between diabetics. So yes, I did.
Well, diabetic, if you were told pre-diabetic, you would know that you were either diabetic or just short of diabetic, right?
No, I did not.
You did not?
I just learned all the differences. I really had no idea. All I knew was my weight was out of control completely. I was sick all the time.
That metformin is a weight loss drug, isn't it?
It controls
Is it a weight loss drug in part 2 or not?
it does.
How much did you weigh?
It helps.
How much did you-
Your blood sugars?
Would you please just answer my question?
Yes,
Is it a weight loss drug?
yes,
And you've been taking that weight loss drug
Yes.
for about 6 years, correct?
yes.
How much did you weigh in 2020? So let's call it January of 2020.
So right about.
I just want to
I
know,
went.
I don't want to hear all this ad libbing. Just answer my question. If you don't know, if you don't know, listen. Listen. If you don't know the answer, you can say, Judge, I don't know the answer. I'm just asking you a question. In July of 2020, how much did you weigh?
Right about that time, I would say right around 170-ish, and that was the time when.
I didn't hear.
Um,
Just answer my question, sir.
yes, sir.
Is your testimony that in July of 20, you raised, you weighed about 170 something?
Maybe a little more, but yes, so.
Well, how much is 180, 185? If you know, if you don't know.
I don't exactly know, but there was a time my weight was just skyrocketing, so it was a changing time.
How much weight have you lost since you started taking metformin in 2020?
So at that time, my weight was not really losing.
Sure.
You know,
I don't, if you want to think to yourself before you tell me the answer, that's fine. I'm just asking you, how much weight have you lost since 2020? This is 2026 right now, right?
Right now, 160 pounds, but between this, I went up to 200 pounds.
Okay.
At some point, when I wasn't taking my metformin, I really went up so much, and it was a beginning of 20-ish.
You got up to 240?
No, almost to 200, like 196-ish.
And what year was that you got up to almost 200?
23, 24, when
How long had you stopped taking the metformin before you got up to almost 200?
I was actually still taking it on the spot, and I still went up, so I have to change a lot of diet. Because metformin is not necessarily just for weight loss. Metformin is to regulate the blood sugar levels. Okay,
You started taking it in 2020, right?
yes. So I really cut a lot of weight after Dr. Janeski started prescribing me additional medication, which really cuts the weight down and it's
Sir.
tremendously.
I think these questions call for yes or no. Okay, Mr. Colobus will have every opportunity to ask you questions then, and then Mr. Bologna can. I just want to get a few things straight in my head. You started taking metformin in 2020, and when you started taking it, you're telling me, correct me if I'm wrong, you weighed almost 180.
Oh, close to it, yes.
Speaking in the microphone.
Close to it, I would say.
And then at some point, in 2024, you got up to almost 200.
Yes.
True or false?
No, it was horrible.
Okay, I'm just asking. Is that true or false?
True.
And then now how much do you weigh?
Right now, 162 pounds on that one.
All right, so in the last year and a half or so, you've lost 38 pounds, right?
Yes.
Or close to it?
So much.
She's coming out right now.
Can you explain why you didn't tell Officer Fields that, no, I'm not diabetic, but I'm pre-diabetic?
Well, I said repeatedly, I'm fasting, I'm on a 21-hour fast.
I didn't ask you that. Can you tell him why you did not, tell me why you didn't tell him you were pre-diabetic?
I do not know what's there to the diabetic, well, really, I'm a pre-diabetic, so.
You didn't say that, or you did say that?
I don't recall saying or not saying it, but that's the difference. But I did say I'm fasting and I'm on metformin.
Well, that wouldn't mean that a lot of people you would,
Your Honor, I've never been in this situation. I understand.
yes, you have. You had another drunk driving 4 years ago.
One time, you guys are handling this kind of cases hundreds and hundreds.
Mr.
To
Pastor,
me, this is
Mr.
very new.
Mr. Pastor.
I actually had this problem.
No, it's the second time.
Well, that time there was
You had one 5 years ago. Right?
only one time.
Did you, talk into the microphone, did you or did you not have one?
Only one time happened in my whole life. I never had this kind of problems.
On-
I never been as called a diabetic or a pre-diabetic. I know the difference now. I would have just put diabetic, yes, because the effects are the same, but I can still reverse it. I just lost 38 pounds. So I feel like I still can reverse it. That's the most important thing here.
I know, but let's just clarify, because I don't want this record to reveal something different than what really happened. You acknowledge this was your second drunk driving, true?
I had one prior
I
to
would
it.
object, Your Honor, as to relevance of having a prior drunk.
He just said to me this the first time he went through it.
Of being,
Sir,
of being,
sir,
of being,
sir. You had one 5 years ago, roughly thereabouts, right? So this was not the first time you'd been through this situation, correct?
first time ever anybody asked me about your pre-diabetic or diabetic in this type of form. Yes.
And when you were asked that on this occasion, you unequivocally told the officer no, right?
Yeah, because I'm thinking of that.
And you didn't manage to tell him that you were pre-diabetic.
I wish I knew that. I wish I knew. I would have said.
When did you find out that diabetic versus pre-diabetic or any listen, let me finish the question. When did you find out?
Once we start
Where-
into this,
Are you gonna let me finish?
I'm sorry. I thought you were finished. Sorry.
When did you find out that there was a potential impact on the accuracy of an intoxilizer for somebody who's diabetic?
Throughout this case,
So you knew back earlier, like in the beginning, before you pled?
I mentioned that to Mr.
I didn't ask you that. I asked you the question, when did you find out that the accuracy of an intoxilizer could be called into question if you're diabetic? And you said throughout, correct?
when Mr. Cole was advising me, you should not ban because you're a pre-diabetic.
You did not, but you said throughout the case you understood that. True or false?
Then they told me I had a higher ketones level, and I presented that to Mr. Zelenak, and Zelenak did nothing. And even mentioning that I had elevated ketones level due to my fasting and my pre-diabetes levels.
So
I
you-
was on a 21-hour fast at that time when this happened.
So when you tendered your guilty plea, did you know or not know that an intoxilizer's accuracy could be called into question if you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, as you're trying to argue?
I do not know that. Oh, if I would have known, I would never pled guilty whatsoever. Mr. Zelenak never advised me about this and never advised me properly. Otherwise, I would have never done it.
And you didn't think to tell the officer I'm pre-diabetic. I just
No,
want
I
to,
did not. No, I did not think that telling the officer I'm diabetic. He clearly asked that question, are you diabetic? I barely even recollect it. I was nervous, to be honest, but I barely even recollect. I tried to answer everything to my best of my ability, and I actually did have a problem with that because it's a diabetic or pre-diabetic, and I didn't want to make a mistake.
all right. Were you nervous when you answered the rest of the questions that he asked you to or not?
Of course.
But were there any other statements that you made to the officer that you read in the report or saw in the video that you thought, oh, that's inaccurate. I must have done that because I'm nervous?
I think that sobriety test was something when I thought I did everything perfectly right. But then again, I had chronic back pain from the sports that I done, and he said I didn't do it right, and then following that and checking it right.
But that's performance of a test. All I'm asking is the officer asked you several questions during the investigative stop, true?
Yes, yes.
And are there any other answers that you would say in retrospect, I should answer that differently because I was nervous and I gave the wrong answer?
I do not recall that. No, I think the officer.
So the only one you think that caused you to maybe be inaccurate with this is the fact that you were nervous because
I
you,
would think so. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
but none of the other questions.
Well, I was nervous about everything, of course, but
But you didn't answer any of the other ones incorrectly, right?
I barely even recall any of the other questions, to be honest. But when he asked me what medications I'm on, I clearly stated I'm on metformin. So I do not know if he knows what's that for, but.
For weight
Yeah,
loss.
I'm gonna object to the testimony because it's inaccurate representation of the record. If you watch the video, it was never asked the question.
All right.
Or was Mitchell?
I'm gonna, hang on, Mr. Pastor.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna stop right here. Do you have any other questions?
Other than just for the record is clear, is that you came in to see me at my office, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
That was after you had like.
All right, now wait a second. Now you're kind of leading here, right?
You came in like, well, there's no other way to ask this. After you pled guilty, did you make an appointment to come see me at my office?
Absolutely, yes, I did.
And did you bring your records, including your medical records?
I brought everything what I had available with me at that time.
And also that you had back injuries in the past, correct?
Correct.
And did I ask you if you're a diabetic or a pre-diabetic? Did I ask you
Is that
that?
all of them? One second.
You asked me.
So, Mr. Pastor, wait, is that all the records?
Oh, you know what? This is right there. This is all of them?
Okay, so we're gonna go have 3 copies made. I'm giving the doctor back the original. Actually, have 4 copies made
Okay.
and have them each stapled together.
Okay.
And then one will be marked People's 1 or Defense 1. The original will go back to the doctor. And I'll give you a copy or I'll need a copy. Make 5 copies total. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Judge. And then did I bring up diabetes or pre-diabetes when I was looking through your records?
Yes, you did right away, sir.
Okay. And did I tell you I also was a pre-diabetic?
Yes, you had mentioned, yes, sir.
Did I tell you at that time what any form of diabetes or pre-diabetes does to the accuracy of an intoxicant? It's a breath machine or instrument that measures alcohol.
Yes, you have.
Was that the first time you heard that?
That was the exact first time when I actually learned this.
And the reports show 0.09, am I correct?
Listen,
VAC. And you've heard since that, does it elevate it or bring it down?
He's not.
Blood sugar.
He's not.
Okay, all right, I'll withdraw that, sir. I don't have anything else, Judge.
I want to ask you one question. You said you told Mr. Zelnick you were pre-diabetic, correct?
listen,
If you had no idea that diabetes could affect or pre-diabetes could possibly affect the accuracy of an intoxilizer, why would you have found it relevant to tell Mr. Zelnick that you were a pre-diabetic?
so I get a supporting letter from Dr. Kazan stating my ketones level will be much elevated due to my fasting routine. That's why I lost all the weight. Keto fasting and the medication, it's a collaboration of all that. However, I mentioned that to him, but we didn't really talk about diabetes. We just actually talked about the effect of it. And I mentioned that to Mr. Zagnett a number of times. I was in severe ketosis. The 21-hour ketosis, it's a very high push on ketosis, but that was the only way for me to control my weight and lose all that weight in that short period of really short period of time.
Okay.
Yes, I did mention that to him. I had elevated ketosis. I gave him the letter also from Dr. Berman. Dr. Berman, the psychiatrist. I went to the program, was being advised to go to, and I spoke with her. I clearly stated to her I'm pre-diabetic. As soon as she provided me the documentation, I provided that to Mr. Zelnick right away as well. And that was after.
She didn't have any idea that that had
But
anything,
yeah.
but the accuracy.
Ketones,
Right.
but I had no idea of that.
It'd be like somebody with gout going to their lawyer and saying, I had a drunk driving and I got gout, right? Am I missing something here? I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm asking.
I'm not trying to argue. I really not trying to argue, but I was keep telling him my ketones level was.
But you didn't think, you didn't know that had anything to do with the accuracy of a breathalyzer at the time, though, correct?
I read about it a little, but I wasn't 100% sure until I talked to
Oh,
Mr.
I see.
Kolovos.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, very brief, Your Honor.
Mr. Kolovos told me.
Sir, you hadn't, Mr. Klovis, you hadn't talked to till after the guilty plea, right?
No, he educated me about this.
But not until after the guilty plea, right?
Correct.
Thank you. I'm asking why you told Mr. Zelnick if you didn't have anything to do with if you didn't know it had anything to do with the accuracy.
Yes, this was Mr. Zelnick's job to inform me of it, and he failed to do so.
I see. Okay,
He
go ahead.
wasn't in there.
Stop. Let him ask his question.
You testified that Dr. Gaza told you the effects of fasting, correct?
Correct.
And now fasting can create higher ketosis,
Yes,
And you-
your ketone levels go up. Yeah.
and you testified you were on a 21-hour fast during this period.
Yes,
So
sir.
at what time did you start your fast?
So I start my fast at 10 p.m. at night till 7 p.m. next day.
Okay, you were pulled over at approximately 11:30 in the evening, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so did you break your fast the day with an alcoholic beverage?
That was the first time because this was up, and I'll tell you why. This day, actually, I was in further ketosis.
Answer the question, objection, chief.
At that day, I was in a much more prolonged ketosis.
Well, the question was, you just said break your, what was supposed to be a 21-hour fast
Yes,
with an alcoholic beverage. And
I did that.
that was around what, 10 o'clock?
Something like that.
Okay, so you weren't even in a fast for 12 hours at that point.
No. I was still in a fast since the night before. I haven't had a chance to eat. That day I had to work more. It was a holiday weekend, so I was doing yard work all day long till late afternoon. And the only reason I even went out because I had to buy the Lalo tickets because that was the big jackpot. So I had to run to do that. That was the only reason. And the only reason I even went to that club is that was the only thing was open at that time over there because it was late. And yes, I broke my fast at that time way too late.
But with an alcoholic drink, did you have any food?
No,
Just a drink?
yes.
Okay, thank you, nothing further.
All right, you can step down. Thank you very much. Unless you have something else you want to ask them, Mr. Clovis.
No, you're on.
Thank you. You can step down.
Thank
Doctor,
you.
come on up here. We have the records. Come on up here, doctor. Okay. Doctor, I just want to make sure we give these back to the, are these? Wait a minute. ProPath, are these your records?
Dr. Kaz's records.
Where's your records? I wanted you to,
That's what I was given her. That's what they emailed to the girls down.
okay, these are what was brought to,
Mr. Colon.
wait a minute, I just need to understand this. This is Metro Shores Riverview. Where's your records?
My record, I do not have records. I'm a collaborating physician.
I thought you told me you had records. You didn't tell, you brought records with you, right?
Correct.
Which records are yours? From Special Care OB-GYN?
No, I brought Dr. Kaz's records for review.
Is that from Metro Shores?
Yes,
Dr. Kaz's record.
yes.
Dr. Kaz isn't. Okay, wait, let's do this. There's records here that say Metro Shores?
Yes.
Is that Dr. Kaz's records?
Yes,
Who are ProPath's records? The records here that say ProPath.
Dr. Atamani,
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure what records you brought. Did you bring the ones from Dr. Kaz that say Metro Shores?
yes,
All right. Where are the originals of those records? Did you bring them?
I do not have the originals.
Okay, well then, look, here's what I'm gonna do.
All copies, Your Honor.
I know, so. All right, we're gonna have this marked defense one. And all you guys are gonna be given records here, copies of those. So on admitting defense one, that's the records. If there's something you want me to take out, I will. Mr. Bologna, here's your copy.
He's given.
I have one, thank you.
So you're just
He's got it.
you're just repeating what Dr. Kaz has said. Right?
I have been in collaboration with Dr. Kaza in regards to diabetes.
Well, don't you keep records? You mean to tell me if Mr. Pastor came to your office?
He did not come to my office. He went to Dr. Kaza and Dr. Janeski's office.
Am I wrong? I thought you said you were in Newport and he came to your office 5 years ago, 2020, 21.
No, sir. I said I am in collaboration with Dr. Kaza.
Well, you did say collaborating. And I asked you when he first came and saw you. Did I not ask that?
Yes,
And what did you answer?
2019 in regards to diabetes.
Well, where are your records? You don't have medical records?
I was in collaboration with Dr. Kaza.
So he comes to your office.
Not my office. I was with Dr. Kaza in collaboration with her to review.
Where are the records that you wrote in 2019?
I do not have records that I have written in 2019.
How about at any other time? He just testified he saw you 3 times.
Correct, as a collaborating physician to aid with his diabetes and pre-diabetes.
So you met, I want to make sure that I understand this. You are a physician,
Yeah.
right? And he at some point came to you, right?
Yes,
In Dr. Kaz's office.
with Dr. Kaza.
And you didn't take any records? You didn't keep any records?
No, sir.
You didn't take a history from Mr.
We
Pastor?
were speaking together.
Why?
To his chief, and Dr. Janeski is his primary care physician.
All right, I want you to look at defense one. Where's defense one right now? I want you to look at that, as long as you were relying on Dr. Kaz's records. I want you to look at the bottom of page 1. Diagnosis, encounter for general adult medical examination with abnormal findings.
Yes,
Overweight. Dietary counsel. Gastroesophageal reflux disease, unspecified whether esophagitis present. Fatty liver, primary hypertension. Now, these records were from 2022, correct? It's June 2022, progress notes by Dr. Janeski.
Yes,
I want you to find one place on any of these records from 2022 or any other record where it says diabetic. Can you do that for me? I'm going to sit here and wait.
on the ProPass lab results, interpretation of his A1C.
What page? What page?
Page is on the ProPath page 1, bottom of the page, 5.7 A1C.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second. I want to stop you now. Blood work will detect cancer, correct? Certain types.
Certain.
If somebody tested in that range, would a doctor not, and the doctors confirm there's cancer, would the doctor not write that as a diagnosis? Or just rely on somebody reading test results to come up with the conclusion that there's some kind of cancer? You understand my
I do
question?
not understand the question.
Well, look at the diagnosis anywhere on any of these pages and show me where it says listen to me. I'm going to lose my patience real quick if I have it 40 minutes ago. I want somebody to tell me why I'm in here and we're talking about diabetes and I have no piece of paper from any doctor telling me he had diabetes or even pre-diabetes, and he denied it to the police officer. So you're going to find on these records, besides talking about a 5.7 rating, which tells us maybe they're going to be diabetic down the road, and you're going to tell me there's a diagnosis that existed before September 1 of 2025 that showed me that he was diagnosed as either diabetic or a pre-diabetic.
I know from my understanding from the past, I don't have the exact record in front of me. I was there.
You're his stepdaughter, right?
Yes, sir.
You are the stepdaughter because you are the daughter of his wife,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Find in the record where it says diabetes. You told me it was in there before you told these guys you were going back to Newport.
I did not say I was going back to Newport. I'm sorry.
Well, somebody told me that on your side of the aisle. It wasn't here. Sadie.
He's down. Wow. You guys want to have that?
Judge, there's other medical that I gave that I think you have,
The 5 loose ones.
I don't even know.
and it makes reference.
This is special care.
They just.
Well, it says increased risk for diabetes, if that's what you're referring to, 5.7,
This is-
5.7 to 6.4, but that's from special care OBG. If there's a diagnosis anywhere that he's diabetic on here, I'd be glad if you point that out to me. Can you do that? Do you have one,
Dr.
Mr.?
Kazan wrote it here in the letter.
Let me see.
That in the stack, Your Honor?
That happened the first, that was not in the.
So Dr. Kaza yesterday writes that Norbert Pastor was diagnosed with prediabetes June 23, 22, right? Even though he didn't have it on his diagnosis sheet,
Yes.
right? Thank you. That's all I need to know. Anything else? Any questions? Anybody?
No.
On that
Any questions?
piece of paper you have that I handed, are we gonna have that marked as an exhibit?
You talking about ProPath?
Yeah.
We can have that marked. Do you want to have it marked and received? Sure.
Judge.
Yeah,
Judge, we have to stop.
we have to stop. There's something wrong with the recording equipment.
You go.
And I have.
Did you call Shane?
Oh, I think I got it.
You think you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're back on record. She's cured the recording malfunction.
This is Dr. Asmani's lab results in which she indicates is pre-diabetes.
Let me see them. Is that on one of the pages that I have here?
You have it up there, John.
Pre-diabetes.
You gotta shut them.
Okay, and that's from June 3rd, 23 of 22, pre-diabetes.
Where are we at?
This is on this is on the ProPath records, I believe she's referring to. And it's on page 1 of 2 after 5 of 5.
I'm sorry, Judge, what page would it be from the top?
6, I believe.
Thank you.
And it's just, and it looks like, I mean, I'm not even sure. Is that what that says? He's pointing it up to, 5.7 circle, pre-diabetes. I'm not even sure that's what it says, but nonetheless. I can't quite make that out. It looks like, honestly, it looks like P6DEBETES.
There are no doctors, right, Judge?
I know they're probably almost as bad as I am. All right, what else? Anything else that you want to tell me? Anything else?
Yeah, I'm just going to place on the record objection to this witness trying to get into the ProPath document as it's looks from what we could tell authored by.
I know.
Adamati. It was printed on 4/30.
It's certainly not that I understood that she wasn't keeping her own records and she was just testifying about Dr. Janeski's records. That certainly was not the way I took it on direct.
That I understand, Your Honor, but for the record.
I understand. I'm gonna admit him anyway. Mr. Clovis, anything else that you want to ask the doctor?
No, I'm trying to listen to everybody's spot.
Who's,
Yes,
you don't have any other questions?
I don't know.
Doctor, you can step down. Mr. Clovis, do you have any other witnesses?
Yes.
Just the one.
Is this an actual doctor now?
Yes,
Does she have a diagnosis of diabetes?
yes.
What doctor is she?
You're gonna have to step up there now and be sworn in. I'm tough on these things, Judge. I'm gonna,
I mean, he didn't even testify. He went to somebody else. Did he? If this is another collaborating physician that's going to use somebody else's records, I'm going to lose my mind if I have to hear this. What is your name?
That's Marty.
You're his wife, right?
I was the initial ordering.
You're an OB-GYN, right? You really want me to do this? I will if you want.
she ordered it.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear affirm under penalties of perjury that the testimony you give in these proceedings will be the whole true self you got. Have a seat, please.
Your Honor, can I place a general objection on the record?
Yeah,
Just want to note the record because this is such an interesting record at this point.
it's more than interesting.
That this is the spouse who's going to now testify. And so this could be a waiver of the spousal privilege. So I'd like to make that objection on the record and have it noted that this could be considered a waiver of that privilege. So if we decide to proceed,
Okay.
Any response?
That's fine, if it'll be treated as a waiver, I mean, there's nothing,
Go ahead, ask.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
and we have a spouse that's gonna be truthful, I think. Ma'am, are you a doctor?
Yes,
Are you a DO or MD?
you,
And what is your, specific area that you practice?
OBGYN,
Okay. And how long have you been a doctor?
since 1995.
And, have you, do you ever check people's, patients', blood pressure?
Yes,
Do you ever check their, glucose, their
Yes.
sugar level?
yes,
And you check their lungs and all those things,
Yes.
right? Okay. And, are you aware of your husband suffering any pre-diabetes or diabetes?
yes,
Okay, you'll have to speak up,
yes.
okay? And when did you ever diagnose him as that?
this was going on since we received the COVID vaccine. And after that, because he stopped smoking, he gained weight. And at the same time, we were doing labs. I offered labs, and I did for me, I offered labs for him. And his hemoglobin A1C was elevated.
I'm sorry, what's the last part I couldn't understand?
He was elevated.
Hemoglobin A1C was elevated.
And was it in the area of the results of pre-diabetes or diabetes?
Because I treat gestational diabetes, we consider that diabetes.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Because our job, we treat gestational diabetes. For us, we do not call mildly elevated hemoglobin A1C or elevated A1C pre-diabetic or diabetic. We call all diabetic.
Okay, so to you or your understanding in
Yes.
the medical field, diabetes and pre-diabetes is the same?
Yes,
So
Did you
the
ever-
doctor that's been telling me pre-diabetes I
it
have,
does not exist.
he's wrong. All right, I'm gonna tell him, all right.
Did you ever tell your husband that?
Yes.
When did you tell him that?
When the sugars were up, hemoglobin A1C.
I know, but when? What year?
About the same time that the ProPAT labs were done.
What year would
Was
that,
that 22?
Yes,
what year would that be?
2022.
Okay, and, do you know if he was advised that along with diabetes, you should lose weight, you should exercise and not eat as much sugar?
Yes, it's indicated in the labs.
And, I'm an Ozempic, but obviously it's not for weight loss. People use these, pills to lose weight, is that correct?
It helps with weight loss, the
Okay.
metformin or glucophage.
Does it also help the glucose and maintain it or bring it down?
Yes,
So it has two benefits.
yeah,
It's like these shots Ozempic people take that don't have diabetes
Yes.
and lose weight, right? These are different effects it has. Okay. So it's not marketed as strictly a weight loss drug.
no,
And has there been any break in time from the time at first you discussed 2020, 21
yes,
of diabetes or pre-diabetes? Has there been any break where your husband, the defendant, was free of diabetes, was not taking medication, and he was perfect? Was there ever any time?
we did not repeat labs to prove one way or the other, so once you're diabetic, we consider diabetic. We don't go back and do labs, for example, and say, okay, you're not diabetic then.
You still
Once-
have blood testing done.
You have blood test and hemoglobin A1C can go up or down.
Okay, but you're a diabetic,
Yes,
correct?
yes,
Once one, always one.
yes,
Okay, it's just you try to maintain it, correct?
yes.
Thank you, I don't have to deal with it.
Any questions, Mr. Bologna?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. At the time of the arrest, your husband wasn't pregnant, was he?
No,
Okay, you mentioned gestational diabetes, isn't that only applied?
because I treat diabetics.
Right, but gestational diabetes applies to pregnant women, is that correct?
That's right.
So that would not apply to men, is that correct?
I was only implying that I do treat diabetes,
Yes,
whether pregnant or not. If somebody wants help with diabetes, if they don't have access to primary care, I do help.
correct, but you mentioned that in gestational diabetes, you treat it as diabetic or not.
For the definition of diabetes,
Correct, so your definition of diabetes is based on gestational diabetes.
no. But I do deal with diabetes a lot.
Right, but men, there is a category pre-diabetic, correct?
I am not sure. I hear that, that's an argument, they do call sometimes pre-diabetic versus diabetic, so
Okay, but you don't know for certain.
for certain,
You said you're not sure, so that would imply.
well,
that
I
you
don't know
for
what
certain.
you mean. For a lot of doctors, pre-diabetic is the same as diabetic.
And you also stated that you agree with the statement of once a diabetic, always a diabetic. That's not true though, is it?
you do have the inclination to become diabetic, yeah.
Correct, but there's certain types of diabetes that with health and diet, you eventually will be considered not diabetic, correct?
I don't think so.
You sure about that?
Yes. I don't do that. I don't say you're diabetic.
Do you know for certain that you could eventually be classified as diabetic, and then based on diet and health?
I believe physicians, when they call a person diabetic, it's all of the diabetic.
But you're not an expert in diabetes, man.
Maybe not, yes.
And do you prescribe any other medications besides metropin?
I do that for insulin.
What about with your husband? Do you prescribe anything else?
No,
Just that's the only pill you write
yes,
for him? Okay, and you said though you do prescribe insulin,
my patients, yes.
but not for your husband.
No,
You just said it to do metropin versus insulin?
I mean, they're different. They're oral hypoglycemics, that's metformin. And then we have the injectable ones. If the type 2 diabetes doesn't improve, they become type 1 diabetic. And you can get insulin as well as, or you can be on both at the same time.
No.
All right. Anything else? Sure.
Thanks. Well, you stated earlier that once a diabetic, always a diabetic, is that correct?
To my knowledge, yes,
Yes or no?
yes,
Okay. And, you can try to maintain the diabetes of an individual by taking medication, correct?
yes,
Okay, and doing exercise, correct?
yes,
And losing weight, correct?
yes,
And, don't take in so many sugars, into your system, correct?
correct.
And somebody that isn't a pre-diabetic or diabetic, telling that if they eat a lot of sugar, they don't become diabetic right away. I mean, they may in the future, but not right then, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, cancer, somebody can have cancer and it goes into remission.
You're kind of lead. You're kind of lead.
Well,
I mean, I'm giving you leeway, but I don't know how much more of this I can do.
just a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Can cancer go into remission?
Objection, Your Honor. How's this relevant to anything?
Because I'm gonna do an analogy.
Go
This
ahead.
isn't a jury.
Yeah, cancer can go into remission.
Okay, and
Into that, Your Honor.
may, doctor, can cancer go into remission? Yes or no?
Yes,
Okay, and if it goes into remission, do you still have cancer you consider it?
no,
You don't have cancer if it is in remission?
it is in remission.
Okay. And has this diabetes ever gone into remission with your husband?
It can be controlled, but we don't say diabetes is gone.
Okay, thank you, no.
Any other questions, Mr. Bologna?
No, Your Honor.
You can step down. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go ahead with closing arguments. This isn't really, if, I'll listen to whatever you have to say. I'm not gonna adjourn this so the lawyer can be subpoenaed. I'll listen to whatever you have to argue, Mr. Clovis.
Okay, Your Honor.
I mean, I did read the briefs.
Okay. We rely on our briefs, the motion for reconsideration or rehearing, given the ineffective assistance of counsel. Because my client said no to diabetes, if he had that. He wasn't asked pre-diabetes, and I understand what the court is saying. But that doesn't all of a sudden negate the test results. It doesn't all of a sudden say, oh, okay, those test results are good because he didn't tell the officer that he's got diabetes or pre-diabetes. No, that's where there's justice that needs to be set aside because those aren't accurate. It was a 0.09. And he felt with the plea that it's an 09. What it turns out to be an 03 or an 04. And he pled guilty to something that he's not guilty of. So in the interest of justice, we're asking just that it be set aside and that it be scheduled for trial or pre-trial.
Thank you, Mr. Clovis. Mr. Bologna, anything?
Yes, Your Honor. Today is the date that I set for getting hearing. What I still don't know today is how, if someone is diabetic or not diabetic, that actually affects the PBT, or affects the data master, or affects the toxolizer 9000. I don't know, and that was the purpose of today. What we do know is that the defendant had testimony from 3 doctors, both which he's related to, claiming that he's potentially pre-diabetic. There's been documents put forth to the court that indicate there's a glucose level that may be pre-diabetic, but there's nowhere in any report from any doctor, the testimony from any doctor that he's actually diabetic. That said, we still don't know if that even affects the results here, but we still don't even know how he has an effective assistance of counsel, because what we know for certain is from the video that was put forth as evidence, Your Honor, where he states unequivocally in the video, when asked the question, "Are you diabetic?" No. For those reasons, Your Honor, I don't believe it anywhere close to the burden of establishing ineffective assistance.
Yeah, but anything else? Sure.
The last doctor testified that we find is a diabetic.
Well, let me tell you something. But for the reasons he just mentioned, I don't see how this possibly rises to the level of ineffective assistance of counsel. I just don't. I mean, you got somebody here, his wife, Mr. Pastor's wife just took Mr. Pastor, I want you to let me finish before you start talking to your lawyer. His wife just testified that she advised him that pre-diabetic was the same thing as a diabetic in 2022. Yet, in September of 2025, he told the officer he clearly was not a diabetic. I have no evidence as to how much the toxolizer can be affected, the accuracy of it, though it might be. But how does somebody go tell an officer I'm not a diabetic and then expect to have their conviction overturned or their plea allowed to be withdrawn because they later try to argue that they are a diabetic? And in fact, his wife just testified, like I said, that back in 2022, she said it was the same. And I don't have any evidence that he was a diabetic. The only thing I have here is a medical record that says increased risk for diabetes, 5.7 to 6.4. That doesn't mean he's a diabetic. So I don't know what the argument here is, except Mr. Pastor apparently regrets his plea. I'm sorry about that. And now I've listened to his stepdaughter come in here and tell me there was a diagnosis. There's no diagnosis. There is no diagnosis on any of this that says diabetic, pre-diabetic, even patient advised risk for diabetic. All it says is 5.7. That's it. I mean, I go get a physical every year and they tell me what the numbers mean, but nobody here, no way do I see anything as a diabetic. And I don't know why a lawyer would even inquire whether his client's a diabetic or not. If he just read a report that says, I am not diabetic. And now Mr. Pastor comes in here and tries to tell me, well, I'm a pre-diabetic and I didn't think to say that. And I knew about it before. Then he says he didn't know about it till he was till he talked to Mr. Clovis. But then he said, I knew about it throughout. And throughout include a lot more with Mr. Zelnick representing the defendant than Mr. Clovis, because the case went on forever. This is, like I said, at least the 8th time they've been in court, I believe, at least 7th, maybe 9th. I don't know. But I just don't believe any of this testimony. I don't believe it from the wife. I don't believe it from the daughter-in-law. I don't know why she would have told me she had a diagnosis and she had her records, and then it turns out they're Dr. Jansky's records. This is not a game we're playing in here. Defendant's motion to withdraw the plea or for reconsideration is denied. Now, I told you when you filed your motion before that I will certainly, but you're going to have to file a motion. I'm not trying to create work for you.
I understand, it's a simple motion.
It's a simple motion that's going to set forth that you have to diligently prosecute the case. I will stay punitive matters. I will not stay things like treatment or testing, but file a motion. I'm going to accommodate you. If you want to have it in 2 weeks, Mr. Clovis, I'll be happy to accommodate you. I haven't done that in 10 or 15 years where I had to enter one of those orders, but I'll be happy to do that for you.
I appreciate you doing that, Judge, with regard to a stay, as to the other matters. My client's been doing everything else. You
Good.
had actually stated that at our last hearing.
Right.
Right.
So I'll be happy to, I want all these records put in something that is marked confidential. Will you do that for me, Heather? Put all these other records in a folder that says confidential. So I'm gonna ask you to try to
Yes,
file your
Judge.
motion next week if you would.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to.
And I'll have it the week after when they're here. Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You have a very nice.
Mr. Bologna, are you my docket in 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
It would be,
He is here next on the 7th and the 21st.
So if you want to do it the 21st, I don't have a problem. Just make sure you perfect your appeal, okay?
Yeah.
And I'd like you to submit an order to me, Mr. Bologna, denying the motion so I can sign it. Will you do that for me, please?
and to clarify for the record too, there was the motion to recount, but then this was also set for a Ginter hearing. Is that also denied as well?
That's the Ginter hearing, and any motion for reconsideration of the motion to withdraw the plea is also denied.
Judge, on the 21st, I'm downtown in Frank Murphy Hall.
I will accommodate you if you want to do this by Zoom.
Okay.
Just have your client with you, okay?
All right, very good.
Thank you both.
All
Thanks,
right.
Your Honor.